That's not on here, but this is the opposition breakfast.
Oh.
It's not on here. The opposition breakfast is Friday morning. You might want to eat before you go.
So what is the opposition breakfast? Like, is it
I
going
don't
to
know.
be?
This depends. Everybody's different. Sometimes you go in and you sit down and there's MLA sits at your table.
Okay.
And there's a bit of bullshit.
Yeah.
But it's come and go. You don't have to stay for any of them.
Yeah.
I wish I was trying to pass around. My brain would be like.
And then this is where he speaks and promises the world. It's just
Yeah,
amazing.
I know,
It's just
I know.
like, oh my god, it's so bad. Like,
And then we're going to do this, and we're going to Whoa. Wow.
Like to call to order, please.
I've been practicing at home.
There's people laughing at me out there. There's people laughing. Welcome and thank you for coming, and welcome to everybody out in TV land. I'd like to read the Aboriginal Acknowledgement. We would like to acknowledge that the land on which we gather is the traditional territory of the Tanaha, the Salix, and the Sinixt peoples, and is home to the Métis and many diverse Aboriginal persons. We honor their connection to the land and rivers and respect the importance of the environment to our strength as a community. Do we have any late items? None? Okay. May I have a motion to adopt the agenda, please? Councillor Anderson, seconded by Councillor Page. Questions? Discussion? All in favor? Thank you. And may I have an adoption, a motion to adopt the minutes of the previous committee of the whole
Move
meeting?
minutes.
Second it.
All in favor?
7:30.
We're going to be out of here quickly. Now we come to the public participation portion of the meeting, and I'm going to read a statement. First, is there anybody that has, I will read this briefly and then you can come forward. City Council welcomes comments from the public on issues it is dealing with or on other issues of interest to the public. Before speaking, please identify yourself, stating your name and place of residence and the issue you are bringing forward. Please limit your questions and or comments to a maximum of 5 minutes, which we will be timing. Council will not make any decisions at this meeting about the issue you raise, but may refer them to staff for follow-up. Topics raised in this session should be of broad public interest. Complaints of a personal nature will be dealt with by staff through the city's established complaints process. Thank you for taking time to participate in this council meeting.
I was told I had 5 to 7 minutes, so please bear with me.
Well, you're from Boswell though, right?
Councillors, I drove
Might
all
be
this
hard to
way.
squeeze that extra 2 minutes.
Good evening. I'm Harv Blasey from Boswell, and I'm a member of the East Shore Advocacy Society. I'm here to both increase your awareness and to ask for a letter of support concerning the Kootenay Lake Ferry. I am semi-retired and have worked for Shell Canada for 35 years. I have worked on 4 major projects in my career and was focused on energy management and utility infrastructure. I have carried this passion for energy management into my retirement. The ferry service is part of the Selkirk International Loop and part of the Southern Highway across the province. This ferry service will impact over 9 million ferry users over the next 25 years. In the past 18 months, the ferry service experienced 6 significant service disruptions which impacted residences and businesses in the region, the West Shore, and especially on the East Shore. Some East Shore businesses lost up to 50% of their revenue this summer. A relocation of the ferry terminal from Belford to Queens Bay could significantly reduce the impacts in the future. This ferry service is, in my opinion, the largest energy improvement opportunity in the Kootenays. Several studies indicated that the Queens Bay terminal was a superior location. As you may be aware, the proposed relocation of the ferry terminal from Belford to Queens Bay was changed by the ministry in 2016, and I believe without proper due diligence. I will make 3 points, discuss negative impacts, and also describe my discussion that I had with the federal government. First, the energy requirements for the ferry could be reduced by nearly 40% due to the shorter distance. Fuel costs could be reduced by $50,000 a month in the winter and $75,000 a month in the summer. I was wondering what the City of Nelson's vehicle fleet fuel costs are per month in comparison. From an energy management perspective, one would have to take into account the extra 3 kilometers that vehicles must travel and the number of vehicles that are waiting in the ferry to arrive. Many are idling in the winter for heating and in the summer for air conditioning. However, the largest energy improvement being reducing the number of vehicles that are traveling to other locations such as Cranbrook and Creston for services or traveling around the Kootenay Pass. Tonight, I'll be going around the Kootenay Pass because I can't get home till 11 o'clock tonight. Second, the new ferry could be reduced in size by 25%, from 60 cars to 45 cars, and with capital savings of between $5 to $7 million. During a Kootenay Pass closure with the ferry terminal in Queens Bay, a 45-car ferry, combined with the Osprey, could transfer 93% more traffic than today. 93%. With a ferry terminal at Belford with a 60-car ferry, this is the larger ferry, combined with the Osprey could only transfer 30% more traffic than today. Also, with the terminal at Queens Bay, there are no high water or low water issues, which leads me to another very important issue, dredging. It is highly probable that if the terminal was planned at Queens Bay, the dredging could be avoided or reduced significantly. Dredging will need to occur in the future in the West Arm. Third, with the ferry terminal at Queens Bay, service could be every hour and on the hour and have an additional 6 sailings. Total sailing, loading, and unloading time would be reduced from 50 minutes to 30 minutes. With a new 60-car ferry being proposed, the energy savings will be approximately 17% for 10 sailings. With a 45-car ferry, the energy savings with 16 sailings will be approximately 28%. In my 35 years, I have never seen such a large energy saving for a single project. Although an electric ferry is proposed, it will not be converted for an additional decade or more. It will still run on diesel. Even when converted to electricity, it will consume 40% more energy than required at the taxpayer expense. There are some negatives to this terminal relocation. It is regrettable that a large parking lot has to be constructed on the shoreline and in the water, but it is for safety reasons. The parking lot is used to remove vehicles off the road. An environmental assessment will be required and mitigations determined. There are slope stability issues that need to be addressed and highway improvements.
30 seconds, Harv.
Perhaps the savings could have been smaller. Having a smaller ferry could pay for the highway improvements. Businesses and residents that are directly impacted should have had a transition plan proposed by the ministry. This energy improvement opportunity is aligned with the Climate Action Charter and climate change objectives. The Belford terminal option is marginally aligned. I'll have to skip the federal government portion. I was going to talk about the BC taxpayer fast ferry scandal that occurred, where there was a lack of due diligence. And at the end, I will have to say thank you and end it as that. I unfortunately cannot speak about what happened with the federal government.
If you have that report that you'd like to leave for us, you're more than welcome to do that.
I'd be a pleasure.
Yep.
Okay.
Questions? Anyone?
Yeah.
Councillor Anderson?
Yeah, where did your data come from?
The data that came from is that the Minister of the Engineer in Victoria gave me what the Osprey fuel numbers were and what the Belford fuel numbers were. And using the schedule, I back calculated the fuel consumption, all the CO2 emissions. That's where I got that piece of data. I have sent my data and my information to the ministry, but unfortunately they say that they're on one path. And I have to kind of leave it as that. I hope I've answered your question.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks for telling us.
I'll take it.
Yeah, we can give it to Sarah. She'll circulate it to us. Sarah?
Next, we have a presentation in recognition of Matty Erikson. And I have,
Else that wants to go?
sorry?
Was there any other public?
Oh, sorry, any other public?
Yep.
I'm sorry, come forward.
I have to apologize before I start. I forgot to organize notes, so I'm going to be referring to my phone. Thank you.
If you can speak into the mic and you can state your names and where you're from, that'd be great.
Totally. My name is Wahia Ayan, and I'm from Nelson, BC, and I'm a member of Fridays for Future.
My name is Jamie Hunter. I'm also from Nelson and a member of Fridays for Future.
And I'm Lynn Murray, and I'm from Nelson, and I'm a Fridays for Future member.
And you've all been here before.
Yes.
Welcome back.
Thank you very much. So we're here today to talk about the September 20th climate strike that we've been organizing for the last few months, and it's now 4 days away. It's very exciting. And we just wanted to announce to the members of the local government to offer that you have the opportunity to come and support us at the strike and help us in promoting the event, as this is going to be a massive community event. We're bringing in more people than we currently know have historically gathered in order to strike for the climate within the city. And our previous strikes have had the largest per capita show up and turnout. So this one is going to be massive, potentially one of the largest per capita in Canada. So it's happening on Friday, September 20th. We're going to be starting in the morning at 10:30 a.m. And we have organized and arranged this event to engage, educate, and empower the members of the community in order to start taking legitimate, localized climate action so that we can start building community resilience from the ground up and ensure that people have the ability to respond to the climate emergency that we're in. And so we would like to invite each of you and offer that each of you can invite as many people as you want. We want this turnout to be as big as possible so we can ensure that people are empowered. And we would also request your support in terms of the facility that we'll be using. So we'll be in front of City Hall, and we are expecting a lot of people. It's going to be an all-day event. So one of the major concerns that we have currently is water supply. We have water filters that we're going to be filling, but we would like to arrange to have some sort of fill-up station outside of City Hall, if that would be possible. So that's one request that we're going to be leaving behind. The next is Wi-Fi, just for our group to be able to consistently communicate and ensure that the day goes smoothly. If there's any way that we can set up an access to a separate access point, because a lot of people are going to be jumping onto the city Wi-Fi, it might slow down, and we need to ensure that things go smoothly throughout the day. Next is the insurance that we have been asked to gather in order to actually have access to the space. And the insurance quote that we got was $215. Fridays for Future is a nonprofit youth-led organization, and we would like to request to the City Council that that cost be waived as part of your participation in this gathering. We're going to be empowering a ton of people, and this event is designed in order to help the community. So it would be, I guess, a very appreciated gesture if the City Council would consider waiving that insurance cost for us. And our next request, which we brought up at our last event, our last meeting with you all in our presentation, is in regards to climate emergency. And we requested that that was something that was considered, and as far as I know, that was dropped without much public expression. I don't really know what happened, but it seems like it just fell off the radar. And in order to move forwards, even though the RDCK has declared climate imperative, it is vitally important that our leadership declare climate emergency so that we can start moving forward with that lens around the public and around every decision we make moving forward, so we can actually meet the targets required to begin developing a sustainable future. So we'd love it if you can all come out September 20th. You'll see these posters all around town. We're trying to make the event go viral on Facebook, and that's slowly happening, but we're probably going to start hearing more and more. We'd also like to announce that Kootenay Co-op has agreed to shut down during the hours of 10:30 to 1 p.m. and pay their employees to attend. Valhalla Pure has also agreed to do that, and Rio's Video and the West Kootenay Eco Society will also be following suit. And that's just the beginning. We have an email campaign that's running through the businesses within the city, and each of them are communicating with the organizations and businesses that they work well with to help promote this. We're expecting under 10 businesses, but there might be more, we'll see. But it's very exciting, and we're expecting at least 10% of the 10,240 members of the community to show up. So, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Questions or comments? Councillor Anderson.
So just one comment. So at these meetings, I will be there on Friday, and I'm so impressed by the work you guys are doing. In terms of the insurance, we don't make decisions during this meeting, so we can refer it back to staff. But for these type of requests, we need to know ahead of time. So ideally, this is going to be happening in July or August for these type of requests, so that we can action those items. There is water outside that it's a tap, so I can show you where it is.
Awesome.
And I don't know about the Wi-Fi too, because we can't action things, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there anything that we can do on our part to help speed up that process?
Not really. Sarah?
There's no one that we could get tons of youth to call?
Talk to the boss here.
You've already left a message
Tons
for
of people
me,
that call
and
and
so
give
we're
you,
working on it. You'll hear from me tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank
Yeah,
you.
just a heads up, when you're planning these events, which is awesome, you need to give the city a little more lead time than 4 days.
Yeah.
4 months is really good. Okay, just
It's a very steep learning curve for the amount of stuff we're trying to do.
that's how you learn, though, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Any other questions?
I have you could talk to an organization like Eco Society, because they have umbrella insurance policies. They have umbrella insurance policies for events. So you could chat with them about, they would have to host, they'd have to be the host.
Yeah.
But I know for a fact that they have the city of Nelson as one of their insurance
Listed.
Conditional insurance?
yeah. So I would chat with them about trying to get insurance, because I think it's actually pretty late in the game to get insurance. 4 days is not quite enough time. But I would chat with that group or another local organization that might have umbrella insurance.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you. And something I forgot to mention, I won't take up too much time. There's a dance party happening as well. 7 until 9 p.m. We have Adam Shake, local DJ, and Craig Walter Newton from the Hilties playing. So
Where is that?
it's also going to be in front of City Hall.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got that in your email.
Fantastic. Hope to see
right.
you there.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, guys.
Guys.
Do we have anyone else from the public? No? Okay, now we have a presentation for Matty Erikson. Matty Erikson is one of Nelson's many talented athletes and has recently captured success at the national level in track and field. Matty is a national champion after winning 2 gold medals in his debut at the Canadian Legion Youth Track and Field Championships. Sorry, what's that?
Come
Oh,
forward.
sorry, Matty, why don't you come on up?
Come forward and stand up here
You
by
get
the
to
acting
stand
mayor
here while we,
while he reads, and
Yeah.
then with the mayor.
sorry, Matty.
So you get to come right through there.
Yeah, you'd go in the middle. It's like dodgeball.
Matty is a national champion after winning 2 gold medals in his debut at the Canadian Legion Youth Track and Field Championships that took place in August in Sydney, Nova Scotia. Matty took first place in the under-18 men's 800 and 1500 meter races. Matty won the 800 with a time of 1 minute and 53 seconds and the 1500 in 4 minutes and 3 seconds. That's awesome. That's almost as good as Councillor Page's times. The city recognizes Matty's success and thanks him for making Nelson proud. Please join me in congratulating Matty.
Do you want to get a picture?
Come on up, Glenn. You can.
I got plenty. Right on.
Awesome.
Good job.
Don't have to stick around, by the way. You can run home.
He will run.
There he is. Now he's going.
There will be a beautiful presentation of music, though.
I know. You might want to stick around.
We now have a cultural presentation. The Amy Ferguson Institute, in collaboration with Black Productions, is bringing Chess, the musical, to the Capitol Theatre stage on October 17th to the 19th. The musical tells the story of a love triangle during back-to-back World Chess Championships. Chess, the musical, is directed by Liesl Forrest, with musical direction by Robin Lamb and choreography by Mackenzie Hope. Members of the cast will present an excerpt from the performance. Please come forward.
By members of the cast, we mean our incredibly talented musical director, Robin Lamb, is going to sing a song from the show for us. So.
Nice.
Go, Robin.
All right, I've never played this piano before. This should be entertaining. Long ago, in someone else's lifetime, someone with my name who looked a lot like me came to know a man and made a promise he only had to say, and that's where she would be. Lately, although her feelings run just as deep, the promise she made has grown impossible to keep, and yet I wish it wasn't so. Will he miss me if I go? Let's see. In a way, it's someone else's story. I don't see myself as taking part at all. Yesterday, a girl I was fond of finally could see the writing on the wall. Sadly, she realized she'd left him behind, and sadder than that, she knew she wouldn't even mind. And though there's nothing left to say, will he miss me if I stay? All very well to say, you fool, it's now or never. I could be choosing no choices whatsoever. I could be in someone else's story, in someone else's life, and he could be in mine. I don't see a reason to be lonely. I should take my chances further down the line. And if that girl I knew should ask my advice, I wouldn't hesitate. She needn't ask me twice. Go now, I tell her that for free. Trouble is the girl is me. The story is the girl is me.
Sydney, you shouldn't be over there flipping those pages.
I know. I wouldn't let her. You'd ask me questions?
Yeah.
Yeah, do it.
When is it? Where is it? How do we get tickets?
You get tickets at the Capitol Theater. It is October
17th to 19th.
Yes, those are dates
We
that
have
it's
4
on.
shows running.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it's super exciting. There's 23 cast members from the community that have come together, and it's going to be really, really beautiful.
And it's lots of like adults who this is their first show ever, which is very exciting.
New blood.
New blood.
What's the name of it again?
Chess. And it's written by Benny and Bjorn, who wrote all of ABBA's music, but this is their like attempt at an opera. It's delightful.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
You guys just need a piano in here. Just
Oh, we need a piano. Let's get a piano.
Thank you.
Thank you. Love our town.
We just referred the baby Grand to stats.
I remember when she was a baby.
One of those free ones.
We now have a delegation from the Nelson and District Seniors Coordinating Society. Marion Ritchie sits on the board of the directors of the Nelson and District Seniors Coordinating Society and has requested the opportunity to present to council regarding the Nelson and District Seniors Coordinating Society and its work. So Marion, please come on up.
And bring your committee. Are they all presenting?
Your committee can come up if you'd like some support. You're more than welcome to.
Right. I understand that you may have a small video of ours. We started playing it. Yeah. My name's Marion Ritchie. And as you said, I'm on the board of
guess if you guys
Seniors
all sit
Coordination Society.
I guess why don't all three of you sit there at that other table?
Oh, sit at a table.
Yeah.
And I'm also the coordinator for the low income tax program that we do, and a few other things that go on there. And I think you've just got to do you know, and this presentation that we have up here gives you quite a lot of information that we actually cover. We have the elder abuse people. They use the office on a Wednesday afternoon, and they're very good at what they do. I'll let this go through so you can read it. Oh, happy people.
Be showing on the way. Will it be able to see that?
Speak about any of these?
Pardon?
Did you want to speak about any of the things that are showing up?
Well, unless you have any questions. I mean, yeah, it's fine with me. I can.
This is the report, you sent us this via email? This was on the screen right now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we've all received this and read through it. Does anyone have any questions for Marion about any of the programs?
Maybe not.
I remember a couple of years ago, a couple of years ago, I had been approached by a few people, and I don't remember, it was a while ago, who exactly, but it was about the elder abuse program.
Oh, yeah.
And it really surprised me as I learned more about it, how serious a problem it was. Much bigger than I expected anyway.
Yes, yeah, it is actually. It's what you can call a silent thing that goes on because people are afraid either to report it themselves or, you know, if somebody knows, a friend or a member of the family knows that somebody else of the family is abusing, they're kind of afraid to come forward. And I think this program has opened it up quite a bit so that they know they can come and talk in confidence with someone who's not going to tell who it is.
Yeah.
And secondly, they can refer them to people who can actually help them further on down the line.
Has there been an improvement
Yeah,
in
it
the
is.
number of
It is
cases?
quite a big problem, but it is a very silent problem.
Yeah. Has there been an improvement since the program's been running?
Yeah. Sorry?
Has there been an improvement in the like, are you noticing that the numbers are down? Are you tracking things getting
No, I
better?
think people are coming forward more.
Okay.
The numbers are up. Sorry.
The numbers are up.
As a
actually.
healthcare, I mean, you all know
Yeah,
that I work at the
yeah.
hospital, and so this is an issue that's near and dear to me, of course.
Yeah, the
This
numbers
issue, 'cause I deal
are
with
up
so many
because
seniors.
people
the
are
numbers are up
beginning.
because of a program like this has helped
People
bring it
access
up and
care.
given people the options of where they can go to find out more information. And really,
Yeah.
sometimes it's that asking the first question or looking for something really helps.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm looking that they are busy, but I would say that this is a much more, and the fact that they've also given this to service providers, because sometimes, even though we're there all the time, we sometimes miss the cues. And there are sometimes cues that let you know that there's something going on, and then it's, as professionals, it's our responsibility to make sure that these cases are, of course, reported as well. So it's a lot of people get involved in a program like this.
And also the thing is, it's not just necessarily a family problem. It can be a neighbor
be the
problem.
neighbor.
Yeah.
3 of the complaints
You know.
this year involve seniors' residences, which I found very interesting.
So-
Bullying by management at seniors' residences.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that
Yeah.
would involve a large number
Yeah.
of people.
Yeah.
There's only one person who stepped up and complained, but still there were 3 different residents. It wasn't one person and 3 people from the same residence.
May
I
I,
found that very interesting.
may I ask a question?
Yes, you may.
That kind of brings up something for me about how is our housing crisis in Nelson impacting seniors, and has there been any work done on that front? Or does it seem to be most people have housing or they're able to stay in their homes?
2 main things that our office person gets questions about are housing and transportation.
Right, housing and transportation.
Housing comes up over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
There's not enough affordable housing in Nelson, or for that matter, close to Nelson. It's an ongoing problem. Despite that, I know there's new housing in Nelson, there's more new housing planned. Nelson's a desirable location, and many people, including seniors, wish to live here.
Yeah.
And that's good, there has to be housing.
We do cover a lot of homeless people with the income tax. Street people, homeless people. People without addresses.
Right.
You know. So there are quite a few out there.
And these are homeless seniors?
They're home. Not the seniors so much, but there are a few seniors that are homeless.
Okay.
You know, but the seniors, they're more in the homes, the nursing homes.
Yeah.
This Cornelius Diocese serves quite a few low-income, for its income tax, 2/3 of the people are not seniors.
Okay.
They're low-income people.
Yeah.
Teeth is about the same.
Yeah.
Dental program, majority of the people are working more, not focused on assistance.
Yeah.
Working more.
Yeah. And one of the other important things I would like to say with the seniors coordinating society is we seem to be a centre for all the information that's going on in Nelson. You know, they want to know where they can get recreation, they want to know where they can have, where there's other seniors clubs or societies that they can join, where they can go to get financing. I mean, we've become a centre of information, really, you know, and it's quite an important thing for us, you know. So
Do you have staff or?
we
for the
have
actual
one
society?
lady who manages the office, and the rest of us are volunteers.
She's part-time,
You
she's
know.
basically about half.
Yeah,
I see you're looking for volunteers too. It's in your last slide there.
Yeah, right there. It's right there.
There, yeah.
yeah, we're always looking for volunteers.
I think it's
Seems to be
important.
a hard thing to get, not just with our society, but with a lot of societies, they seem to have problems with volunteers, you know, which is a shame, really, because you get you get a good feeling and a lot of benefit from volunteering. You know.
Most of our volunteers are seniors, aren't they?
Yeah.
By far, most of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yep.
just a question. What do you deciding that the age? Oh, maybe I need to join the senior society. Age wise, I know that you service a lot of people that are of a variety of ages. But when you're using the word senior, do you have an age definition? Like 50 years, 65, 70?
Oh gosh.
We don't actually ask people what age.
No, but I mean,
Like the seniors advocate, if they have senior type issues, which many people do at
Right.
younger
Age,
age, we
yeah.
try to serve
Yeah.
them.
But
And a lot of younger people, some of them have health, for instance, a lot of people getting plates, dentures. I thought it was all be seniors, but it's not.
No.
Yeah.
A large
No.
number of quite young people who've had nutritional problems,
Yeah.
health problems, various kinds of problems who really need
Yeah.
dentures. And that's
But our
scary.
oldest client's 95.
So I'm just looking at in terms of
Yes.
your need for new board members. Is that you would take on somebody that's 50?
Oh, yes,
you would
definitely.
never turn them away.
50,
Yeah.
55, anywhere, what we call young people, younger people, you know, because with them being that age, they have more ideas of what's going on in the world today. I mean, we know what's going on, but we don't have that energy to actually bring it along as a younger person would, you know.
You're looking for
But,
diversity
I mean,
of perspective.
if somebody's 19, that's even better.
Well, I
you
have
know.
to say personally that I started volunteering as a senior in my early 50s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought I was a young senior, and I'm going to be an old senior if I live long enough.
Yeah.
Here I am,
Yeah.
still doing it. Over
Yeah.
30 years. I've been
Wow.
Good for you.
We do have a couple for the income tax that are between 55 and 60, so which is good.
And how many people, like, overall do you think you serve in this town?
Oh gosh, if you figure 25 people coming in the office 3 days a week, and that's not counting 800 and odd that are we're doing taxes for.
So 1,000 plus.
Oh, 1,000
Way
plus,
more than
definitely.
1,000,
Yeah, that's why I'm saying, you know, we are an important part for information, which is surprising because a lot of other societies send them to us as well.
Yeah.
You know.
Do you work? Do I see you have these sponsors? But do you work with like a Nelson Cares? Do you work in conjunction with them?
No, we don't actually.
We've worked with their transportation person. They're just starting their third new one in the last 6 months or so. So they've had trouble keeping staff. We turned our home health program over to them, thinking that they could get the funding to continue to pay the supervisor, because that was a CDT grant to us, and it was a time-limited grant, 2 years. And they have continued to do that. That's a subsidized program, up to $10 an hour. So it's pretty good.
And where do you get your operational funding from?
A very little bit from gaming, not much at all. We've got money, they're all on there, sheet, really.
Yeah.
These are your operational funds?
The Nelson and District, they give us a grant for the income tax. You know, and we did get home help money, but of course now we don't have the home help. We don't get that anymore.
So are you every year you're having to chase money down to keep going?
Absolutely,
Good word,
yeah,
chase money down.
definitely.
And that's very difficult, that's the most difficult thing we do.
Yeah.
That's why we did submit to you for a grant this year. You know, we are very grateful that you have to support us in that office, and without that, we wouldn't even exist. We acknowledge it.
I see our logo's quite large.
Councillor Lochtenberg has a question. Rick?
Sorry.
I noticed the RDCK is not listed.
That was more recent, they didn't.
Yeah.
This is
That was
actually
this
the notice
last
from
year.
last year, because we're about a year behind.
Okay.
We didn't get money from RDCK in 2018, and that's because we didn't apply. We didn't apply because we didn't need it. That's our philosophy, we don't apply if we don't need it.
Okay.
This year we needed, and we got about half of what we needed.
Yeah.
So that's why we're still badly searching for money, unfortunately.
Any other questions? Marianne, thank you, and thank you in
I would just like to say one thing, that
Yes.
as a society, we appreciate what you do give us and with the help that you give us with the building. I'd like you to know that, even though you turned us down. No, that in itself, I know, that's a lot of money.
Well, Marianne, thank you, and thank you for the great work that you and your team do.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you should.
Okay, staff presentation. Sam, it's your turn.
Sam, you're on. Sam's the man.
Last man standing.
The last man standing.
Yeah, I'm afraid to say my presentation will not be as entertaining or inspiring.
You're not going to play piano?
I'll read the preamble, Sam.
Okay.
Senior Building Inspector Sam Ellison is presenting information to council regarding the seniors, the city's ability to place notice on title on a property, including what it is used for and the required procedure. Staff anticipate that we'll be bringing such matters before council in the future.
He's going to volunteer to be the next home handyman.
That's a great suggestion.
I would love to have enough time to volunteer more, honestly. It would.
And I could tell you that if there was somebody I could phone that knew how to put a grab bar in a bathroom, I'd be the happiest physiotherapist in Nelson.
It's tough to find people who do small jobs. Yes. It's really hard. Good evening, councillors and Mr. Mayor. So I'm just, there's a report that went to you. So there's quite a bit of information in there. So you can read through that, or you've read through it already. I'm just here to have a few talking points to just kind of add to this. So notice on title, it's not a new thing. It's been in legislation for years. And so the purpose of placing a notice on title is to protect the city, the constituents, future owners, financial and insurance industries from liability arising out of unsafe buildings. Unfortunately, for a number of reasons, we have quite a few older permits that have been unresolved, where we've made lots of efforts to try to get people to complete them, where there's health and safety issues still remaining. So it's kind of the last step that we take to protect the city from risk. So one of the important things about notice on title is it's not meant to be punitive on its own. So that's one of the reasons I wanted to present to you tonight is because I will be coming forward with these in the future. It's meant to protect future owners and the city and other people from risk by putting it right on the title, so it's obvious to know. However, it does act as a pretty effective tool to get people to comply. Or if a notice is put on title and the people go to sell or refinance or something in the future, it's a pretty good motivation to get the original issues resolved so they can get a mortgage, so they can buy a home. So it does work as a prod to get people to fix dangerous situations. I sort of touched on this already, but before I make a recommendation to our corporate officer, to Sarah, to put permits forward, we've tried as hard as we can to get people to comply, sent letters, done site visits, done inspections, had phone conversations, emails, the like. So, by the time it gets to a recommendation, it's pretty serious usually by that point. One of the tools that I'm gonna develop a bit more to encourage people to comply before it gets to this point is municipal ticketing. So that's something that it's been a little more difficult in the past. We're working on ways to. So, maybe we don't like to give fines, but warning tickets and fines to try to get people to comply before we get to the point of doing a notice. So just so you know that. Before we proceed, The last step, and this is just something that I was working on today with Sarah, is we send registered letters to persons who are going to be on an upcoming meeting agenda, and it informs them of when the council meetings are, what the issues are, and it gives them some options. So they can sign a letter consenting the city to just proceed. And this is sort of what I wanted to touch on a little bit, is that even if, say, there's going to be 4 notices on the upcoming agenda, unfortunately we have quite a few. What I have discovered, experience would dictate that, say if there's 4 notices on title, probably at least half of them, the people will get that letter, the invite to council, they'll contact me, and we'll make an arrangement to deal with it. So at least half of them will probably never even make it. Some people will elect to consent to have it just done because, you know, they don't want to deal with their problems. And some people just won't show up, and that makes it pretty easy because, you know, if the issues are serious enough, then I would assume that council will proceed to put the notice on. The minority of the time, people will attend. And unfortunately, it's a little difficult. Like we try to get them to contact us in advance to say that they're going to come. Problem with a lot of these people is that they're not very good at keeping their lives in order. So they may just show up. We're going to limit them to 10 minutes to make a presentation to, oh, yeah. Well, some of these are pretty serious issues, so I mean, hopefully, like if my intention is to put forward 4 to 6 a month. There's probably between 50 and 75 files that up to 10 years old that have fairly serious concerns. So there's yeah.
Sam, are most of these residential?
Most of them, because in the case of commercial permits, there's usually a lot more motivation for people to get them to resolved.
Right.
Yeah. But it has happened. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
So it sounds to me like we're going to be trying to do a bit of catch up, and so these would come forward to us usually in a business meeting setting, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I'm going to say this, and the chief financial officer might look distressed, but in terms of trying to get through this many, is that when we do budget deliberations, they are considered a public open meeting of the council. And we often do have a meeting where we would take an issue that's top of mind or needing to have attention, and we would deal with it on those days. So that actually adds over the next, probably starting in late October, running through February, a number of additional meetings that we have to attend. And perhaps in terms of trying to get through this workload, there might be some consideration that we add up 2 or 3 on so that we're not overwhelming a Monday agenda once a month with having to deal with these. So just an idea to keep in mind, because oftentimes we do finish a bit earlier, or we could start the day with 2 or 3 of those and then get into the budget deliberation process.
Okay. So, well, Sarah might be able to touch on that specifically, but the hope is, and because unfortunately, I was involved in quite a few of these in the regional district. Most of them will resolve before the meeting. So I'm hoping that I'm going to bring 4 forward. There may only be 1 that actually makes it to the meeting.
Okay.
And that person may not even attend. So then it just becomes I can't guarantee that. But did you want to add something, Sarah?
Just that we would be very considerate of the size of the agenda. These may not happen depending on the size of the agenda every month. The intention is that they do, but yeah, we have to be very aware of the size of the agenda and the time that it's going to take to get through one in an evening.
So for what it's worth, I mean, I started on this project shortly after I came here last year. And at that time, there were probably over 300 unresolved permits. So we've managed to whittle it down to about 50 to 75. And of those 50 to 75, I'm hoping that only 25 of them might go to notice, if that. So, yeah.
Councillor Woodward?
Thank you. Would it, I mean, could we do like a special meeting where we just deal with these?
Yeah, like start this meeting earlier.
Sounds like a plan to me.
Make like a section.
Yeah, and I would defer to Sarah on this.
Yeah, it would have to be a special regular, like so you could make a decision. Yeah, we could certainly consider doing that.
Just to fit them in, just to have them all in one go, and kind of work it through and be done.
Yeah, and may I?
Yes.
Particularly, I'm thinking, if this was my property, I'm sure this is, maybe embarrassing for people, and it's not that they wouldn't, it's not that, maybe they do want to come, but having then an audience who's all here to see the gymnastics team, get an award, like that might not be the most appropriate time, or if we can do it where there's less of an audience, then people might feel more comfortable. I'm assuming that this is pretty sensitive for people, and depending on...
It can be. I suppose the issue would be, so like if we put 4 forward, one might actually might make it. So I guess the consideration would be, if we're gonna have a special meeting, do we put forward 10, thinking that maybe 2 or 3?
I think that we could we could consider all of that when we start the process,
Okay.
and we can figure out how it's going to work best for council and time-wise.
I have one more question.
Fire away.
Can you just give me sort of an example of what this actually looks like, what the issues are, like what are we talking about?
Sure. So, I mean, one of the ones that I put forward is a property in town that was, it's a rental property. It has 3 units in it. When you look I think it started as a stop work originally because the owner was doing work without a permit, and then he sort of begrudgingly got a permit. And when you look through a lot of these files, there's up to a 10-year history of, failed inspections, fairly, health, life safety concerns, like the deck railings were never done, the stairs are all wrong, the ventilation system is not functioning. Maybe there was concerns around the electrical work and, so stuff that if it's left, the part of the problem now and what my experience was is that people, if you don't do this and people go to sell the properties, it's unfortunately really common that it's not disclosed. So they don't disclose it, the realtor doesn't disclose it, and people buy these properties and then find out later that they have major problems.
Wow.
Mr. Mayor?
So Sam, I think it's important that we sort of put it into perspective, because we don't want to be seen as being the Kremlin of the building department. But the reality is there's a liability on the city as well if we don't follow. If we don't follow up on these places that are not in compliance, we are literally saying to the folks living in that particular unit that you're describing, should it burn down, should someone fall off a deck, it's going to come back to this table here as a liability to the municipality. So it's very important for us to clean these deficiencies up, and I know exactly what you're talking about as far as some of the issues that have happened in the past at the regional district or even at the city, where you allow these things to go and you've known about them and something's happened, and then all of a sudden the liability is spread all over. And it generally goes to the deepest pockets, which would be ours in a case like this. So I think it's really important that we catch up on this file.
And eventually, what happened at the regional district, it ended up being quite effective, is that, some of the really bad ones got dealt with, and then, the message got out that, it was serious. And so, people get that message that, we're we're really there to try to help people get through this stuff, but on the other hand, you know, we're not going to just sort of let you get away with anything indefinitely.
Right.
And so that message does get through, and then it actually, it's a little painful in the beginning, but it generally kind of smooths out, and then you have a lot less issues overall.
So supplemental to that, and I think just for clarity, there's a process earlier on where, as you said, you weed out the wheat from the chaff, and those that would end up with us here would be the more serious ones that are willing to battle, you know, to the bitter end. But for the most part, it's been my experience that they generally get sorted out with conversations with the planning department and
Yeah, and we've already got quite a long way. So, yeah, okay.
Councillor Page.
Yeah, my question or my comment was to getting the message out that these are serious, and this is part of it. Sounds like a workload was built up over a number of years, and you coming on board has tackled this, and I would think that's good, and thank you. But we may want to consider leaving with the original recommendation to kind of spread these out. So there continually is this trickle out that there's another one, there's another one, there's another one. Because the goal is to know that it will go this far, or at least one of the goals, then I think spreading it out might make a little bit more sense than just getting it all out of the way at once. And I would assume we would see these on a somewhat regular basis after that point as individual situations.
Well, yeah, but instead of being 4 or 6, it would be 1, and that one may, just by informing people that you're going to send it to committee or to the council, it, you know, that's the final push they need to just get it done.
Yeah.
Right.
Councillor Woodward.
Thank you. Just curious as to what happens when you come up against the wall of somebody who doesn't have the finances to fix the problem.
Well, and that's a really good question, and that's where, you know, so if somebody comes to the meeting and they want to address the council, you know, that's where you can listen to their situation and give them potentially an extension, or you can, you know, listen to their situation and see. So, you know, maybe maybe give them 30 to 60 days to comply. In some cases, maybe allowing them to renew their permit for a little while. That can be a bit dangerous because then things just kind of go down the road. In some cases, the liability still exists.
Right.
And it's not punitive. I mean, it's not a punishment, and it doesn't have any immediate consequence. It's just that if they do decide to sell that property, and almost everybody does eventually, somebody else gets that problem. You know?
Which would impact the sales price, or at least someone would walk in with eyes wide open. They would know that there's an electrical problem that has been flagged in the basement, or stairway that is not properly set up.
Yeah.
No, I just as supplemental, this is fantastic. I think this is great that this is all happening because it needs to happen. I just want to make sure that, you know, somebody in this process doesn't get, you know, thrown out in the street or something like that because we're trying to reduce liability. No,
I mean, there's no mechanism that would evict people or, you know, this is.
Force them to sell.
No, not at all. No, it's just it appears on their title under a different section under bylaw contravention, and it's just a flag.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah, just a couple. Does this include unsightly premises or only building?
Oh, well, so I do have, I mean, if you guys want it, I have the specific section of the charter. I have copies if anybody wants it. So it has to be related to a building safety.
Okay.
Do you want to, does anybody else want this?
Yeah.
Okay. So the people, when they get their package, they actually get a copy of the specific section of the legislation. And it's pretty specific. It has to be a building life and safety deficiency.
And just in supplemental, I just want to say, Sam, that I've been getting really good feedback about development services, and in particular yourself and Bruce and your efficiencies around inspections and how things are rolling along. So I just want to say thank you to the communities, noticing what you're doing, Pam, and the feedback's coming. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Any other questions? Good. Thank you, Sam.
Oh, I get to go home.
You do.
Thanks a lot, guys. Have a great night.
Any late items?
Thanks, Matt.
No, sorry, you missed number 9.
Council reports.
Okay. We have not done these since we started our term in office. And they're not really a big deal. And I have to say that, can't believe I'm going to be the guy that does this. They're always a bit dry in the previous 4 years, because it was always about, I went here and I went there and I went there. And one thing about this council is we decided that we had better ways to do things, and we weren't running off to many meetings and then just listing that we went to them with not even any information about the meeting we went to. But I'm going to give one, only because there's stuff that's coming up, and I just want the public to know. And that is the fact that this is a busy week at the Regional District of Central Kootenay, of which Nelson sits at the table. And anybody who reads their tax notices that there's a line of money that goes to the RDCK. So we do fund programs there. So I just want to let people know that the Rec Commission is meeting tomorrow from 9 till noon. And so myself and Councillor Renwick and Councillor Page will be in attendance at that meeting. And in the afternoon is the Central Resource Recovery Committee, otherwise known, for those that don't use the lingo, is that this pertains to our waste management and garbage and blue box and potential organics down the road. And then on Thursday, September the 19th, is the full RDCK board meeting, which starts at 9 o'clock. All of these meetings are in the RDCK offices on Lakeside Drive by the airport. The next thing is that we're all going to the UBCM in Vancouver from the 23rd to the 27th, where we'll be meeting with various ministers to discuss important issues relevant to the city of Nelson. And then, I'm going to steal the thunder from the youngsters, October, because we're going to be gone and October is going to come and we don't meet again until October the 7th, I believe, or 8th, is that October is our plastics free month. And this is voluntary participation. And the idea here is to try to minimize your use of plastics, particularly the reduction of single-use plastics. This is just a voluntary program in conjunction with the Chamber of Commerce. And, maybe you can't get rid of all of your plastics, but I think if people give some thought to just even the awareness of how much plastic is in your environment, in your home. And I do believe that Councillor Lockenberg has got some scheme where I now have to collect my plastic for the next month, and then I'm going to have to, I guess, show up in November with my bag of sin.
It's like show and tell.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting, and I think that we'll while we're away in Vancouver, probably talk about what it is that we're going to do as a council, but we're all going to try to take up the challenge and challenge each other. And so I hope just people in the community just think about that. I know it's not easy for some. I know that lots of seniors like their single-use grocery bag because it becomes their gets reused as their garbage bag. And so, I mean, they get used more than once, but not a lot of times. So, but just that awareness of plastic in your day-to-day lives for Plastic Free Month in October here in the city of Nelson. And that's all I have to say.
Thank
you.
you. Anyone else got a report they want to? No?
I got a few things to list off, I guess.
Fire away.
Let's see what you started.
Yeah.
Once it gets out of the way. So a number of us councillors 2 weeks ago now have met with the representatives from Rossland and South Slocan on the 100% renewables initiative, and members from the RDCK, which is also signed up. So we've been working through that working group to establish a plan, an actionable plan for the communities that have signed on to 100% renewables to make that something that is realistic within the area. Of course, everybody was present to celebrate the opening of the youth center, which is a major renovation that is a real asset for the community. And I won't dwell too much on that. We've met initially for the Sports Ambassador program and drawn a group together for that. So we'll see more information coming out of that. Housing Committee has reconvened with Jesse as the chair as well, and we were in attendance to see what we can do about the housing situation.
You should mention the the anecdotal evidence around the table of what's happening in Nelson, we learned.
Do you want to touch on that?
I'll just touch on, so we had our Nelson Housing Committee meeting, and at the end I did a round table to ask the housing professionals that were there what's happening and out in Nelson. And I think one of the things that really struck me was the number one, the cost of building per square foot has basically doubled in the last couple of years. So it's extremely expensive now. And the amount of building that's going on in this town is phenomenal. So one of the developers at the table is now booking out into 2022. And his main complaint was he cannot get enough trades. So we're actually at a wall, he says, of we could build more could happen in this town, but we don't have the trades to fill those roles. But we are in what he says like a building boom, and he says he has never seen it as busy in his 25 years experience. So,
okay, thanks. And finally, just something a little casting out into the future. The NDCC will be hosting its Festival of Programs coming up this week on Thursday? Yes, this week on Wednesday, so 2 days. You can go down, and I believe if you hit 3 different vendors, you get a free pass for the day to go into the rec center. But it is a great place to come together and sign up all your kids or yourself for all the programs that are available at the NDCC. So I invite everyone.
And the community. That's community-wide. So the figure skating groups will be there, and disc golf will probably be there, and
swim lessons and workout sessions, and that starts at 5 and runs until 7 at the NDCC on Wednesday, September 18th, and I'll leave it there for now.
Great. Thank you, Keith. Rick, your turn.
Okay, come on now. One of you say you're taking the electric car and driving.
Right, I'll do that.
So somebody needs to tell me how much greenhouse gas that saves.
Keith, Brittany, and I will be going down to the UBCM in an electric car, which we rented from the Kootenai Car Share. And I think it's for all of us, it's the first long distance travel in an electric car. So, what's that? We hope we get to hope. I'm finding it, I'm just really curious to see how it works, how that transportation works, and how the electrical fill-ups, I guess you want to call them, what do you call them? Charging stations along the way work. And so it's kind of a big experiment, and we'll do some social media posts on the way, and just kind of maybe we could do a report when we get back to council how it was and how functional it is. So.
What, through the chair, what do you think? What do you think so far as stops, or do you have a layout?
Well, I think, just a general idea is it will take a little bit longer. We have to plan our day a little more. Supposedly with these fast chargers, we should be able to stop for an hour per time. And we're thinking possibly 2, maybe 3 stops. So it'll be a long day, but we will arrive in Vancouver without producing any GHGs.
So where are the fast chargers? I think is what he's asking.
So as far we figured out, we're going to stop in Greenwood, the Okanagan, and Manning Park along the way, and that should get us all the way to Vancouver. But
it should get you all the way to Vancouver.
It should.
It's all a part of the learning experience.
And there's plugins in the hotel that we're staying at. Correct?
Yeah. So, and I just think because I think we talk about this electrification of the traffic grid. What does that actually mean? I think in the urban centers, no problem. Yeah. Very easy to very, very useful. Over the long distance, we'll see.
Mm-hmm. And if you see us hitchhiking on the side of the road, please pick us up.
Not happening.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other reports? Seeing none, any late items? No late items. So I would like a motion to adjourn at 8:07.5. Councillor Anderson, second. Councillor Woodward, all in favor? Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Good job, Cal.
Thank you.
So
Curveball there.
It's all right.
Guys,
We had plenty of time.
It'll take us 9 hours and 21 minutes to get there with charging.
But
That's
you
pretty
spent an
good.
hour in Greenwood? What are you gonna do?
Well, you're gonna stop a few
Drink so
times.
much
anyway.
coffee.
You're gonna stop